Hello, everybody. How's it going? Let me see who's all in here because I saw the chat was going up before I even started. All right. What's up, Roger Brown, Lil Yurt? I love that name. The Jado, Steve's Beats, Cloud9, Hype De Niro. Who else is in here? The Official Easy, Jay Florin. All right, there's a lot of you in here today. I love when you guys are in here having conversations before I start because I see y'all, you know? So I heard before we start, I have some announcements, but I think this is the most exciting one. If you're on Twitch and you have our emotes, then you may have seen that there is a new Tim Boot emote. So I'm really happy that we have our own now. Shout out to Sydney for making that happen. I haven't got to use it yet because obviously we weren't here last week, but I'm so excited for the listening portion of the show because then we get to really put a Tim Boot in here and I'm geeked about it. So, all right, let's jump into some other announcements. So our BeatStars on Campus TikTok, make sure if you haven't already that you follow at BeatStars on Campus on TikTok, the official account for student music creators on BeatStars and for tons of funny content. And don't forget to follow our two other accounts as well, at BeatStars and at Duet Beats. We got some great stuff up there. So, oh, look, Rock found the boot. Perfect. Amazing. Oh, damn, I actually have to pin this. I wanted to leave the boot up, but you guys need to know where to find these TikTok accounts. So there's that. And don't forget our opportunities, okay? New opportunities to be featured on our BeatStars official playlist, live shows, and more are available every single day. So don't miss your chance to shine and visit www.beatstars.world/opportunities for more information. And I was just saying this on the Instagram live, but sometimes people get a little frustrated because they don't find anything for them within the opportunities as far as what they create. So, you know, if there's not something for you there, I'm talking about the playlist specifically. If there's not something there for you when you go look, you can either wait till next week because we upload a whole bunch of new stuff, or you can challenge yourself to create something different. And you never know, you might end up loving that. So if we get into the show now, this is the deal. I'm Tia Gordon. I'm the playlist manager for BeatStars. And if you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back, family. This show is about highlighting our rosters through BeatStars Publishing, which is a team effort between BeatStars and Sony Music Publishing, who are the #1 global music publisher in the world. So for more information, you can check out beatstars.com/publishing. If you're interested in us representing you, there is an application you can also fill out. And don't forget to follow at BeatStars Publishing to get better acquainted with our roster and get some free industry game. You get to meet our roster, see how they break down their day, learn a little bit about their process, and maybe that's something you can pick and use for your own. But this week we're hanging out with MaxxSeed, but if for any reason you want to rewind any of this interview to catch up on some gems, you can also check that out later alongside all of our past shows and other BeatStars content, including tutorials on our YouTube channel, /official BeatStars. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for all those new uploads. So many links. All right, y'all. So I guess it's time. MaxxSeed, are you ready? I'm about to bring you in here. Hello.
Hello.
Everybody say hello to MaxxSeed.
How's it going?
How are you feeling today?
Yeah, feeling great. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, you know. This is something I forgot to tell you, so I'm just going to tell you here. I'm probably going to mute your mic a little bit because we're getting a little bit of feedback.
Oh, cool.
So when you're not speaking, I'm just going to have you muted and then vice versa. But since you're here and we're already getting acquainted, maybe you can just introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what your start was in music.
So my name is MaxxSeed. I'm a producer based in London, United Kingdom, originally from Bulgaria. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm an artist, singer, songwriter, all you can think of.
How did you get into the music game? What led you there?
Well, the music game for me started at a very early age. It was like I probably was like 6, maybe like 7 or 8. It was the first time where I've ever seen like synthesizer live. One of my cousins had it. So, I remember I was just like playing around, with friends, and then my cousin just called me up and he was like, "Oh, check what I've got." So the moment I saw that, I was like, damn, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go back and play. And I'm saying like, this is gonna become my life. So then, yeah, it was just basically me trying to, find a way to, step a foot in the music industry. So then, I started to like, bother him about teaching me, to play some chords, to play some melodies. And without even knowing, I just like started thinking about music like 24/7. So it's pretty much, it started at a very early age.
So you've just been in it. So you said it was your cousin's synthesizer?
Yeah, that's true.
So you have family members who are also part of the business?
Exactly. I mean, I do actually come from like a, musical family, I can say. And maybe I got it from there. Maybe, I just had it in me, I don't exactly know. But all I know, it kind of like, the passion really started from there. Like the sparks, came from that moment.
And how did you end up with your name, MaxxSeed?
That's a very good question there. So when I first was doing music, I was a big fan of Slipknot. So therefore, like masks and everything else, I was like a big fan of them. So I just like, just play around and make some like masks, I'm saying. And a couple of my friends like already knew about this. So one time we were like watching a movie called Seed, and it was about a guy like a freaking, like a killer or whatever with a mask on. And one of them just like randomly, he just went like, he's like, that's you, man, with the weird masks and everything. We're just gonna call you MaxxSeed. And I was like, that actually didn't sound that bad. What I'm saying? So it kind of just stick into me, ever since.
So you told me that you started as an artist. So I want to know what that looked like for you and how you wound up transitioning into being a producer.
All right, so I think it's the facts are obvious. You try something and you kind of, there's always, no matter what people tell you, there's like a voice in your head which tells you like, okay, this may not be for you. So I've been doing this for a while. Like, I did it for like 3 years as an artist. And then I always had that passion to like, I want to do something like my own. I don't, like I would hear a beat, online, and I would be like, oh man, if I can only change this, synth, or if I could only change those chords. And then I was like, why don't I just, start learning to make them myself? And that was like an eye-opening moment, because I was like, oh my God, I felt like I'm great at that. So I was like, why don't I just stick to this? And that's how it all began. And then I kind of started feeling like, writing less, like rapping less or whatever. I was like, let me just stick to the beat, to just producing.
Got you. Pritchett, I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong, wants to know what kind of synth was it?
What kind of synth was it?
Mm-hmm.
So basically the first beat where I felt like, I gotta change that. It was like I think it was either flute or something. It's like it was an instrument which was really on the way of the vocals. So I was like, man, like I need some space for my vocals. So it was particularly that one. But yeah, like time after time, I can I can hear like a bass line on the beat, and I was like, man, like I've got a sicker idea for this bass line, but I couldn't do it back then. So I was like, I might as well just start doing the whole thing from scratch, and that's how it all started.
So what were some of the tools that you may have used to teach yourself production, especially for somebody who might be on a similar journey or in a similar situation as you when they're shifting? Where did you first start to learn, aside from having your cousins there?
I mean, to be honest, the biggest tool to use when making music is these two ears here. So I'm saying, like it might it might all be like theoretical, but at the end of the day, you got to kind of like feel it in yourself. So at first I was like listening to like my favorite producers, right? So I was like, what makes them special? So I would always listen for that catch, like what did they do to make this beat sound that good? So it's mainly just listening and like, taking notes of like, oh, this guy used this here, this guy did that. So from there, you can just use any tools, like, say for example, if you want some chord progressions, FL Studio is a great tool for that. You've already got everything set up there. So if you feel like, okay, I've heard this beat and it's in E minor, I want to, lay that chord there, FL Studio is a great tool. So
Gotcha. Who are some of your influences as far as production goes?
wow. So hands down, my first ever, favorite, which I can say, was Scott Storch. I mean, everybody like knows Still Dre, that riff, it's like it just puts you in a different place. So I was like, man, like, let me hear what else this guy's got. So, I started like digging into his more like, songs that he produced. And I found a kind of a, like a connection between me and him, because, he used to use like a lot of them, like, can I say, like Oriental kind of soundings, with the pitching and stuff. So I was like, oh my God, like that sounds dope. So I can say it started from there, like as a Scott Storch. And then from there, I got introduced to Dr. Dre, was like, hands down, he's like one of my favorite producers of all time. And then Timbo, hands down, like honestly, I love people who can create like a new sound in the industry. So, all three of them are like, they've got major contributions into the music. So
100%. I was gonna say that all of those producers that you've mentioned, or creators, they've moved through so many generations and so many changes for music. So to be able to look up to somebody who's able to shapeshift that way, I think that's important, because you can model your career in a way that allows you to also continue to grow and move with the times, I guess. So you kind of spoke about this on the Instagram Live, but for those who were not present, I'd love to hear about your journey into finding and shifting your business towards BeatStars.
yeah, so basically it all started, like when I was living in Bulgaria before, that was like my early days when, when I started doing beats. I was trying to like, get them out to people, like, to like DM them on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. Nobody would ever, like reply and stuff. So I was like, man, like it's not gonna work. So I had a moment where I felt like, what, maybe it's not my thing. So I just literally gave up. I was like, it's not working. I tried, it didn't work. So, let me just find something else. So therefore I was like, okay, let me just go somewhere and start afresh, to look for new passions, to do something new. So I ended up, moving to London, UK. And funny enough, um, I think it was like my first or second year after being here, I was like bored out of my head. It's like a new country, new lifestyle, everything. So I was like, let me just download FL Studio and try, just trying to kill some time. And I ended up doing a beat there, which, it sounded good. I was like, oh my God, like, it's got a lot of potential. And I kind of heard like like an artist, like a Bulgarian artist on it. So I was like, I got nothing to lose. Let me just, shoot them an email and see, see what happens. Right. So funny enough, they ended up liking it, and they were like, "Oh my God, like, where have you been all this time?" Saying, and I was just there like, "Dude, I used to live in Bulgaria, you never noticed me." But it's destiny. You never know when it's gonna come to you. So yeah, then I ended up, getting a placement for that beat, and the song, produced on that beat right now has like 28 million views on YouTube. So it was like a moment of truth.
Yeah, talk about that persistence that you need to have in order to, land that first placement or achieve those views. Like, how do you stay focused and not worry about, or maybe you were worrying about how you were going to get that placement, but how did you keep pushing yourself?
Right. The thing is, like, once you get into music, it will never leave you anymore. So at first I didn't really realize that. I was like, you know what, I tried something for a period of time, it didn't work. I might just hop on to a next hobby or whatever. But the thing was, like, music is such a great thing that, like I said, even if you stop it for 5 years, it's going to come back to you. So I realized that, once you get into it, there's no escape, and it will always be like, you'll always get rejected. That's a fact. Like, even, worldwide known producers, maybe even they get rejected. So, I can say the will, the willpower behind it is what actually brings the success afterwards, because it really does not happen overnight.
100%. I think willpower is like the underlying thing here
Hmm.
that we have to highlight, because if you're just gonna like give up on yourself, like the thing about the music industry and the music business is that you have to be accountable for yourself 100% of the time. It doesn't matter if you have a team or not. It doesn't matter if you're on the business side, if you're creating. It's really like a what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm missing.
Roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster, yes, but like you're 100% the boss of yourself. It doesn't matter in what scenario.
That is very true. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is very true.
I was missing the word. Like it's not freelancer, but it's pretty much along the same lines. Like
Kind
you're
of, yeah, like, basically you're your own boss. Nobody can tell you what to do with it. So
100%. So tell me why or what led you to wanting to sign with BeatStars.
So, like I said, coming from a country like Bulgaria, it's like a very small country. So, you know, you you do get, if you're lucky, you'll get the exposure. But it's such a small country that, I'm not sure if there's enough bread for everyone. And me, like, getting inspired by Scott Storch and everybody else was like they're running the world. So I was like, I cannot be happy with that. I gotta go for something bigger. So I was always trying to, get the exposure I needed somehow, but I never knew of, any of like those type of platforms. So once I, happened to go on BeatStars, I was like, oh my God, this is what I need. The exposure is great. Like, you can literally make it out within a week or two. You never know. It's all about the consistency and, how many beats you're putting out there.
100%. It's like it's the work, but also the luck, as far as stuff like this goes.
Exactly.
Mr. Calisthenics said, has anything else of his done numbers since his first placement? Now, you sent me a list of placements you have, and I cannot pronounce these names, but if you want to go ahead and let them know what kind of views and numbers you've been getting on the work you're doing, feel free. This is your time to gas yourself up.
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I did like mainly right now, like all my placements that I've got, which are currently released, they're mainly, Bulgarian songs. So, they can always go and check my BeatStars info, because I think I've got everything there, like, all the projects which are released. So it's still like, with BeatStars, that, that's one of the reasons why I got into it. It's just like, I want to work with everyone. I just don't want to limit myself into just a certain type of audience. So, yeah, basically, it's all in there for now. So I'm gonna keep on updating it, if I got anything else coming out. So
Yeah, but just for some context, you've got one track out that's got 9.7 million views on YouTube, another with 8.8, and I really can't pronounce this artist's name. So if you want to help me, it's so. How do you say this person's name?
yeah, so it's a Hazarda.
Okay.
It's so this guy, by the way, he's one of the first ever Bulgarian rappers. It's like this guy kind of started the movement in Bulgaria. He's like an OG.
Got it.
He started back in like '90s and stuff. So that was one of my biggest inspirations, by the way. Like, knowing that one of my idols is doing something on my beat. So, that guy, the numbers are there, but it's mostly, about love. It's like the feeling you get when you're like, oh my God, my idol did that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, I got a couple. I got those two songs, and I've got another one which has like 5.4 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's all like, I can kind of try to spell them out, but the best way is just for them to, just go on my BeatStars and check my info, because they can just copy and paste them. It'll make everything much easier.
MaxxSeed said, Google me. Check my credentials.
I'm not even trying to market myself.
Nah, it's okay. We like to gas each other up on here. That's all right. Everybody's family in the chat, so we play like this all the time. I think it's pretty interesting, though, that you said you're trying to move out of, you know, the confines of what Bulgaria's music scene would look like, but that so many of your major accomplishments to date, at least, have come from Bulgaria. So how does that? It's that weird thing where you have to leave home to get any love. Like it's interesting because we talk about that a lot in in like Toronto, but it's funny to see it happening in other parts of the world as well.
I think it's all the irony of the fate, you know.
Mhm.
It's like I wouldn't even expect that, you know. That was one of my reasons why I came here, so that I can, you know, link up with like more other people, right? And yeah, I just ended up, you know, having placements from the place where I left. So I don't know, you know, I could call it a destiny. I don't know, but it's just it's very ironical though.
um, I'd love to hear about some of your tips and tricks for using BeatStars and using that as a tool for yourself to get your music out there if you have any.
Hmm. So one of the main ones which I really appreciate is the keywords, and I don't think people appreciate them enough. You know, it's like a single keyword can get you like maybe like 10,000, you know, people in the same interest as, you know, as the keyword, which that's why like before I used to use like, you know, somebody's name and type beat, but I noticed that I kind of got more attention on the beats where I just went like lo-fi or, you know, catchy guitar, right? So I was like, oh, so it's different than, you know, it's like it's a whole like a different world, you know, in those like keywords. So you got to find the rightest word which could describe your beat. Once you get that right, you know, you're gonna get a lot of exposure from just one keyword. And the second tool that I use is promotion, you know, on BeatStars. That one is just, you know, no brainers. Like it's sick, you know, especially the interests and everything, you know, you get from there is great.
Yeah, I again, I feel like a broken record sometimes because it's usually the same homies in the chat. So I feel like they've heard me say this a million times. But even for just from my point of view, having a playlist every day, I feel like the tags are such an important thing because I sometimes I'm looking for stuff that's so granular, so specific. And you know, even as far as like playlist submissions go, if I have, you know, if I have a playlist submission for SZA, for example, and I'm looking for R&B beats, I'm looking for tags where artists are kind of aligned with her sound, but then I see in there's like a Travis Scott tag, like I might listen to it because they've got a feature, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna click on that. So just
Exactly.
thinking about how you're tagging things and what people might be looking for is a huge, huge thing. I always say this is my suggestion. I don't know if this would work for y'all, but I always say pick an artist, pick a genre, pick a mood.
It's
Cause
like a niche, isn't it? It's like you gotta create your own niche, and you know you
yeah,
gotta look for those like narrow niches where,
yeah.
you know, it's like the less, you know, like the narrower the niche is, the more chances of you getting that beat sold or, you know, placed in a, you know,
Hmm.
at a label. So
There's some people on the platform who tap in and find artists who are on the rise. And if I search that artist's name, the whole search result is just that one producer tagging this artist. And that has probably helped a couple people on the platform, especially through my searches. So, yeah, what is going on? Let me see what's going on in the chat. I just see a lot of movement and a lot of questions. Um, okay, hold on. So I'm trying to pick one, but let's see if we could pick one for. Someone said, can I ask how do you choose publishing a percentage for exclusive contracts? But I'm not sure I know what you're asking. I don't know. Maybe this isn't the exact answer, but maybe you could break down how you set up your contract structures on BeatStars if you're open to that.
exactly. I mean, you know, one of the best things about B stores is, you know, you're basically your own boss. You know, like you can put anything, you can tweak around those, you know, templates with all, you know, all different licenses and stuff. So yeah, it's just literally down to you. You know, like if you want to get 70, 80%, you know, put them there and, you know, make sure the people actually see them before they buy them. So it's pretty straightforward, I think. So
Sorry, I just have myself muted as I like click around to open things. Do you have your pro page set up?
I still haven't. That is one of my goals for probably in a couple of weeks. I gotta get it done. I actually suck at, I'm a bit of a procrastinator, so you
I,
caught me off guard.
Every time I ask people if they have their pro page set up, I don't know if you've ever met Jasmine, our marketing director, but I just hear her voice in the back of my head because she's always stressing the importance of pro pages. So if yours is not set up, now is definitely a good time to do that and get that design to your liking. Um,
Definitely.
how do you find your niche? What do you think your niche is, and how are you like clamping into that?
Oh wow. So basically, like my main goal was, to add some, like Eastern European sounds into this modern type of music, because I noticed, say for example, the record of Jason Derulo, "Talk Dirty to Me," you know, I think it was like a trendsetter back then, because it had like that particular Eastern European sounding on it, so people loved it. So I was like, okay, like I've been growing up listening to all these melodies, so let me implement them into my beats. So that was my first goal back then. But now, since I'm living in the UK, I really get like a lot of friends just pushing me to do some drill. So for now particularly, I'm really trying to have a couple of like nice drill beats so that everybody can be happy.
Gotcha. When you're looking to work with artists, or you're looking to make a song with somebody, what are some of the elements, or what are some of the key things that either an artist needs to have or a track needs to have in order for you to want to participate in it?
Oh, so basically, the first thing is really the personality, because I wouldn't really want to work with somebody which is like which don't want to talk, which which just goes like because sorry to bring that up, but I had a client before, right? And they just come up to me like, make me a hit. Like, dude, what the hell? I'm saying, like, what do you mean make you a hit? What do you want? Like, what genre do you want? What kind of a song do you want? And they'd be like, I don't know, just make me a hit, So I think the first thing is personality. At the end of the day, we're all human, so we gotta communicate. And via communication, we actually do find our, mutual points of anything. So it's like basically if somebody came to me and be like, okay, listen, I dig your stuff. Let's try something. Here's my reference track, and then we just talk through it. I would be like more than happy to participate in it. But yeah, if I get like people be like, yo, bro, make me a hit, what I'm saying? It's not even about the money, like, I cannot, because there's lack of communication. So, it's I can say communication is the biggest part, and like the personality, and then we just take it from there. What they want to really do after.
Got it. So, do you have any? Maybe let's not talk about the nightmare stories, but can you maybe talk about one of your most favorite sessions or interactions and why that worked so well for you?
Right. So,
Actually, before you do that, somebody is asking, I think they're asking for the names of the songs or the YouTube videos. So I'm just going to drop the artist name in the chat while you answer that. But I'm still listening. Go ahead.
yeah. So, what was the question again? Sorry.
Can you tell us about a session that went really well for you and maybe like why it did?
Right.
Just
So,
kind of get like an example to contrast your nightmare story of someone demanding a hit from you.
so I think that will be like the most, the best session which I can remember. I had a lady which she, I think it was like literally her first ever steps into music, right? So the first session she came, she was not even like singing in sync with the beat. So it was a bit of a nightmare. I was like, oh my god, what are we gonna do from here? But then, like I said, the personality and the ego, it plays a big role. It's like, if you don't take any advices from others, you're not going to go very far, because it's the how can I call it, like the criticism which actually builds you up. So you know the first session it sucked, and the second session I was like, listen, let me tell you some tips, try this, try that. And instead of just telling me, oh, why you telling me what to do? She was like, okay, I'll get, I'll try that. And she did, and it worked out perfect. And I could not believe that that was the same client that I was producing after, which was great because, all the barriers were down. It was just, me and the client, like, finding our own spot, and it was great. It's like the song at the end came out great. It was exactly the way I heard it in my head. So I think, yeah, that was like one of them ones where I was just like, I don't know where we're gonna go, but once it clicked, it did for real.
I think that I think what's interesting is like the synergy for you comes with people being able to be collaborative but also take direction. And I think that there's a lot of artists out there who may not be open to doing that yet, or some artists who completely lean into the producer to do the work. But it really is a collaborative effort.
Of course, yeah.
So what is one of the best moments in your career that you've had thus far? Maybe it was the placements that you got with your idol, but something that was really memorable that may have impacted the trajectory of your career.
I think it was actually my first placement. Like I said earlier, it's like I never could even think that I'll actually blow up as a producer in Bulgaria. I never like had any hopes in it. I was like, I literally just, I just shot the email. I was like, I got nothing to lose. Whatever happens, happens. And then within a couple of days, they were like, oh, this guy actually loved your things and he wants to work more. And I'm like, is it actually happening? I did it out of nowhere. Like I didn't have any ideas. And the guy's like, send me more. And I'm like, oh, what do I do now? So I think that was like the best moment, where I felt like the hope was back.
I think that's so beautiful. It was like a shot in the dark and you made it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't talk about this, but I'm wondering what your move to London was inspired by, or what you love about the space of London that you thought you could set up shop and build your career in.
Well, basically, back then I didn't really think like, deeply about where I would go and stuff. I was just trying to look for inspiration. So, London was like one of my kind of, dream places to visit. So I was like, okay, it's like, easily reachable, because it's not like that far from Bulgaria. So I was like, let me give it a shot and see. And, I did not come here with the thought that I'll be staying here, because I just wanted to know how I would feel in here. So it, it ended up working quite well. So here I am.
And how has COVID-19 affected your career? I know that London's had some crazy lockdown situations. So how have you been able to navigate through that, or maybe some tips and tricks for doing so?
To be honest, the first couple of months, I ain't gonna lie, I loved it because I'm kind of an introvert. So I was like, great, I don't have to deal with people. That's my dream to come true. And
Way.
but yeah, like on the long run, it sucks because everything was happening on like online, like on FaceTime and whatnot. So that energy was kind of missing, because like if you're at the studio with somebody, the energy is completely different. So that kind of that was a bit of like a turn down, especially for like motivation and especially music career. Like a lot of people um stopped touring, right? So a lot of people started having different like struggles in their lives, which impacted their own artistic period. So I was like, okay, what do we do now? Because it's like if an artist is not inspired, what's there for us producers? Because we're kind of waiting on them to kind of help us out. So funny enough though, I think it was like maybe the third month since the COVID started. I think I made like most of my sales within that first week, like of the third month of the lockdown.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know, still my life kind of it's like a full irony. you know
Yeah, there's a lot of roller coaster moments, it sounds like, but and I mean, it's no secret that COVID-19 has really had a ripple effect across the music industry, across a lot of different pockets of it. So I mean, I guess just working on your own is difficult when you're supposed to be in a collaborative space, but also that time to grow is really cool too, and just finding new things. So, I mean, I'm glad you got the couple months of a break from people. I felt the same way. I was like, I don't have to commute anywhere. I don't have to small talk with anybody. I could just be in my house. I cannot wait. And then now I'm just like, oh my God, I want to go outside and do fun things with my friends.
It sucks. I mean, especially in here in London, you know, we're still meant to be in a lockdown until like April. So that's another month of us just wondering what are we gonna do. You know, it's crazy.
Scary times, but I'm wishing you all the best, and I hope that you are wearing your mask and washing your hands because that's important. I guess what we're gonna do now is jump into playing some of your music. I'd love if you could maybe just describe some of what we're gonna hear today. I know that you had mentioned wanting to bring a lot of sounds from Bulgaria into your music, so maybe you could lean into that.
Yeah.
You want to describe it for us?
So are we going to talk about a certain beat, or do I just tell in general?
I mean, just give them a preview, an overview before we
Yeah, so basically it's, you know, mostly the melodies, you know, in Bulgaria, or like overall in Eastern Europe, they're more like melodic, and they've got like a lot of like half tones, you know. So it's just, you know, if you use those sounds as, you know, as like lead melodies, and you lay some chords on that, it's just, you know, it sounds weird at first, but once you kind of like listen to it over and over again, it kind of, you just go like, oh, okay, I'm vibing with it now. It's the same thing with you know, was it which song it was, Lean Back, you know, by Scott Storch, you know, that like that sound, you know, it was so weird, but like at first you go like, what is this? And then the second time, like, oh my God, it's good. So yeah, it's pretty much, I'm aiming for melodies like that, you know, like a lot of like, you know, pitch changes, and a lot of like half notes, you know, as well.
All right, I'm pretty excited. There's somebody in the chat who's trying to check your credentials. I'm telling you right now, they check out. We're all
that ain't bad news, right?
Their credentials check out. Everything adds up, baby. It's okay. All right. So let me get this screen share so we can hear some of what you're talking about. I noticed you gave me a lot of beats. I think we have time for 5, maybe 6 if you're lucky. So you got to tell me where you want to start.
Yeah. So since I talked about drills, we can start with the second beat, because I'm very proud of this one, because like this is literally my second drill, I think, which I tried, and it, you know, it ended up sounding not too bad. So, you know, I'm proud of that one.
All right, let's do it. Your UK drill. Hold on. I almost forgot. I didn't tell you this, but you need to know. So every time we play any music on this show, we get people to rate it out of 5 Timberland boots. So I know you heard me talk earlier about how we have an emote now that's a Tim boot. So for those of you in the chat, I want to know out of 5 Tim boots what we're rating these tracks. If you don't have the emote from BeatStars, you could use any boot emoji that you want. You could really use any emoji that you want, but we're leaning towards the Tim boots. But you guys let me know what you're feeling, and now we're gonna play the track. Okay, there we go.
MaxxSeed on the beat.
Okay, that was hard.
Now I see some love going on there. Thanks all for your feedback.
Yeah,
Much
you guys,
appreciated.
you guys are active today. I love to see it, honestly. All right, we got 4 Tims from A6 Giddy. We got 5 from Two's Harp Terry. Two Sharp Terry. Sorry. Woo. 4 from Fat Wave Beats. We got 5 crowns from Trax Phantom. Oh, A6 Giddy updated the rating to 5 Tim Boots.
Much appreciated.
And Eighth Life says, can hear a bit of that Source influence with the flute for the hook. So you're on track.
Exactly. I mean, I can't hide that.
All right, what's your second track? What you want to play?
I think we can go for something like the 4th beat, which is called Get Low. And there you can feel a bit more like of that, Bulgarian kind of influence on it, especially in the drop, because, it's got like a drop there as well. And I think, people will definitely feel that vibe there. It's more like a reggaeton beat, so.
Ooh, okay, let's
do it. It'll be nice to hear.
Let's do it.
MaxxSeed on the beat. MaxxSeed on the beat.
All right, what happened, y'all? You just fell asleep? What was going on? Where is all the activity in the chat? Too Sharp Terry gives it 3 Tim Boots. Low Wave Production says, nice, bro. Sounding good. A 5 vibes. That, it's hard to listen to stuff like that because that just makes you want to go outside and like go party and like be with your friends. Like it hurts my soul a little bit.
Exactly. It literally just makes you want to go to the club and, saying.
Exactly. Cloud9 is apologizing to me for not being active because he was responding to emails. I am dead. You're hilarious. All right. Next.
All right, let's maybe we can check Despacito, because that's we can still keep it on that dancey vibe before we go on to harder traps. So
all right, let's do it.
MaxxSeed on the beat. MaxxSeed on the beat.
Another one where I just want to go outside. A6 says, oops. It's a lot of room for the artist, which is true. I love beats that leave.
that is like one of the greatest compliments which I can take, honestly, because that's like like biggest aim when I'm making a beat. I really just want to leave the space for the artist, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting for me because I always have to be considerate of that when I'm listening to beats all day, because for me I'm like, oh, I want something that's gonna make me dance, but I have to remember that there's artists out there that need to buy this stuff. So Eighth Life says this one has me grooving heavy, got so lost in it I almost forgot to comment, and we got
Wow.
5 votes. Cloud9 says salsa dancing with a mystery person type beat.
Yes, sir.
Low Wave says this is feel good music in a damn lockdown.
Yeah, we gotta have some tunes for that lockdown, you know.
Lock 5 says this is my type of vibe, so you got some good ratings for that one. All right, where to next?
All right, I think we can kind of, you know, turn that tempo down a little bit so we can, you know, get into that for the soul type of vibes. So if you could just play Forever 18, I think that's, you know, that's a very nice beat with, you know, a lot of room for an artist as well. So
And that is your second highest played track on this playlist.
yeah.
So cool. Let's do it.
MaxxSeed on the MaxxSeed on the
I let that one run for a minute because they was loving that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Lots of great feedback on this beat. How does it feel when people are like telling you what they like or don't like? I mean, I imagine you experience this often as a producer, but in this moment, what is this feeling like?
To be honest, I tell you one thing. I think G-Eazy said it back in the days where he was like, criticism's much worth than compliments, you know? I love the compliments, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, I can always take a compliment and I really appreciate what people say. And, you know, it's amazing because it's very, you know, it's very different to hear you know, another producer's opinion about whatever, because they're in the game. So they're only going to tell you the real things which you can improve or, you know, which you got to keep up. So, you know, I really appreciate the love. And even if somebody, you know, had like any criticism, you know, I would accept that with, you know, with a smile on my face, because it is what makes you get better. You know, you got to learn from your mistakes. So honestly, I appreciate them both, you know, both love and the hate. You know, if somebody's got any comments, you know what I'm saying, I'll take notes of that. You know, that's still a good thing.
What was one of the best pieces of criticism or feedback that you've ever received that helped you better yourself?
Wow. I think that actually came from my best friend, you know, shout outs to Zach, you know, so he is, it was like, bro, just stop overdoing it. I think, I think literally that was like one of the things which because I can never feel when a beat is ready. I would always be like, oh, I've got another melody in my head. And he's like, bro, just leave it as it is, it's good. And I'm not like, let me try a little. And he goes like, no, it's perfect. I think that's, you know, I think a lot of producers may struggle with the same thing, because, you know, it's like when you make a beat, you know, you got to think about the artist, but once you're in that vibe, you just want to get, you know, get it done the way you hear it. But sometimes, you know, it can, often be very, overdone, and it's blocking the artist then. So yeah, basically it's like, just one of the best criticisms was like, just leave it. Three instruments. Okay, fair enough. Does it sound good? It does. So why not?
Yeah, honestly, just knowing, like, yeah, not to overdo it, just knowing when to quit is a big thing. But that's the perfectionist in you as a creator, just wanting it to take on the life form that you see for it. But yeah, definitely leaving room for other people to build on and do their thing. That's a huge it's a huge fence to straddle, really, to figure it out. So, I mean, it sounds like you're doing all right, though. It sounds like you took the advice, so you're
I
doing
mean,
good.
I do try, honestly. I take more like, I double think about my, criticism much more than compliments, because compliments like, oh, thank you, appreciate it, and
Yeah,
showing the love back. But the criticism's like, okay, what did they actually mean? Let me dig into that. So
100%. But y'all, that does not mean that you're about to go crazy with criticisms that are disrespectful. Not on this show. You got to learn how to be nice to people regardless of how you feel about something. Like, you do not need to be in here with the crazy disrespect. But
definitely.
it's all love. We have the same people on here pretty much every week. It's family in the chat, so everybody's really just, you know, on their toes about that. But all right. I think we could play like two more. So if you wanna pick two.
Okay, we can try There You Go Again. That is actually, like, I don't usually use samples, and that's one of the beats where I actually used the sample and I loved it. So
All right, let's hear it then. I see the Jack Harlow tag, and the beats
oh
on
yeah.
your project were so good. So good. All right, let's listen to it.
MaxxSeed on the beat.
The Tyga and Kid Ink reference.
Basically, this was a very good example of how simple you can keep a beat and it still can bang. So
There you have it, folks. And they've been sending all your references like the club way, which is pretty interesting. You got to get back outside.
yeah.
We got work to do. We got 5 Tim Boots from Too Sharp Terry.
Shout outs to
Good to
Shoot
see
Sharp Perry.
All right, your last pick. What is it gonna be?
I think we might as well just go for Cactus Jack, because yeah, we got ended up on a high note. So
All right. Wait. Oh, there it is. All right. Anything you want to say about this beat?
this beat is the same. Like I used like a saxophone sample on it, which at first I was like, because I always, as a producer, it's like you always want to stay out of the trouble, especially for copyrights. Even like if you sample and stuff. So I finally ended up having a good tool to use for sampling, which is which will have me covered in case of anything goes wrong. So now I'm like starting to use that tool a lot more. So this is another one with that with that plugin. So it sounded dope.
Do you want to share what that tool is, or is it your secret weapon?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's not. I mean, you know what? It's all love. We're not gonna live forever, so we're not gonna take anything with us to
Yes.
wherever we go after. So it's Outdoor Arcade. It's a lot of producers use that. So
Hope you guys wrote that down.
That is like a secret weapon. Well, I don't think it's a secret weapon, but it's a very, very heavy tool for. It's basically what you need to finish your beat. It's like it's the thing you're looking for just before you say, okay, it's done now. So.
Awesome. Yeah, just in the context of sampling, like for me, it's so crazy because I hear so much amazing content on the platform. But the thing is, like, I could Google the lyrics to the samples that some of y'all are using. And that's chaotic because if an artist ever buys your or licenses your beat and puts that out there and blows up, we could have, like, I don't know if you guys ever heard about the Mac Miller situation from one of his first mixtapes. Like, stuff like that can happen where you can get in a lot of trouble. So you got to be very careful with the samples that you're using in your beats, and especially if you're going to sample something that's not yours, like how identifiable it is. I'm not condoning using other people's work like that without the proper permissions, but definitely be very careful about doing so. I know sampling is a huge part of production, so be careful, guys. But anyways, don't mean to scare you. Cactus Jack, it's the last beat by MaxxSeed before we head out. Let's go.
MaxxSeed on the beat. MaxxSeed on the beat.
And that's, ooh, sorry, your mic was muted. What did you say? Did you say something? I had you muted. Oh, I really can't hear you. Sorry, one more time. You were all the way cut out. I couldn't hear you at all.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Sorry, what was it that you said?
That was like you literally stopped it at the hook.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's where the saxophone was. So
You know
can
what?
literally just
You know
play it
what?
from there.
You know what? I got you. Let's get into the hook before we cut out of here. I don't want to do that to you. Not when you're anticipating something. Hold on. Let's go. All right. I just wanted the folks to hear that, especially if you were excited for it. Okay.
Much appreciated. Because that was like the sauce of the whole beat. So
Yeah, no, I would never want to leave you on a low note like that. So before we head out, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
So they can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is at it's MaxxSeed. I don't know if we can, type that on the chat so they can find it easier. Or they can find me on Facebook as MaxxSeed. And by the way, that's MaxX, so it's double X Seed. Yeah, thanks a lot for the pin comment. And yeah, basically, they can find me on Instagram and Facebook the most, and on BeatStars as well as MaxxSeed. So
Make sure you're out there. Are you open to collaborations? Like if anybody here was messing with you from what they heard today, can they hit you up and maybe get some work in?
Definitely, definitely. Like, I'm looking forward for that because, it's like none of like, all my favorite producers, that's what they said about like, getting successful is like making something collaborative with someone else. So you can never make it on your own. You always got to have a good team on your back. So
Facts. Love to hear it. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, MaxxSeed. Thank you for being part of our BeatStars family. And shout out to everybody who is active and showing love in the chat today. I really appreciate you guys always, always, always showing up. You've been such great additions to our community, and I'm happy to see the same names every week. So make sure you're tuning in next week for our next episode of The Deal. But if you want to check out this episode or any other episodes, please go to our YouTube /official BeatStars. Let me double check that. I always forget it, and I tell y'all every single week. That is so crazy. Yes, /official BeatStars on YouTube. And that's it. And we're off. Bye, everybody. Be safe. Please wear your masks. Social distance. And that's it. Bye.
thanks a lot again for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.